Good evening. I'm Councilman Chairman Pedro Espinal. Welcome to Committee on Ordinance. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, and the time is 5:40. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Espinal.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Peterson is absent. Councilwoman Harris.
Present.
Councilman Vargas. Councilor Royas.
Present.
You have 4 present and 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge Councilwoman Vargas is here. Thank you for being here. And we also have Councilwoman Sue Endebois. Councilman Goncalves, thank you for being here. And our city solicitor, thank you. Okay, before we get started also, has anybody had an opportunity to sign up? If you want to speak on one of the items, we're ready at the table, just signed up. Okay. Madam Clerk, first item on the agenda.
Item number 1 is an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 27 of the Code of Ordinances entitled The City of Providence Zoning Ordinance, approved November 24, 2014, as amended to change the zoning district on the official zoning map for the property located on Assessor's Plat 110, Lot 249, 83 Ethan Street, from R3 to C2.
Thank you. And from the Department of Planning, we have Mr. Bob Azar, who will be presenting. Good evening, Mr. Azar.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Robert Azar, Deputy Planning Director. This is a petition to rezone this property from residential 3-family to commercial 2. At this site is a mixed-use property that has a bar on the ground floor and residential use upstairs. My understanding is that this is a very long-standing commercial operation, been in operation for decades as such. And while we do recognize these sorts of uses in the residential zones and allow them to continue and even expand somewhat, in this particular case, this business wants to add a kitchen, and the lot is pretty constrained. It's very small and it's very tight. In order to do this expansion in the R3 zone, it would be, R3 is not conducive to this kind of expansion of the building because of the way the dimensional regulations work. We tried to work with them for some time, and it just wasn't going to work out. The comprehensive plan does speak to these kinds of things where you have non-conforming uses in residential zones, and the comprehensive plan does support the possibility of a zoning change. So in this case, the request is to go to C2, which would it's a mixed-use zone that allows for residential and commercial, and it would allow for the expansion that they're looking to do without any further zoning review. So this was considered by the City Plan Commission at its meeting in May, and they made findings of consistency with the comprehensive plan, and they are recommending that you approve this zoning change.
Question, Mr. Bob, how long have they been in business? How long has this
You know,
been?
I heard something like that this has been a bar for 100 years.
For over the years?
Yeah. I can't verify that, but that's the number that sticks in my head.
Any question from my committee members for Mr. Azar? Hearing none, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Before we go to further testimony, I'll entertain a motion to enter Exhibit A and Exhibit B into the records.
So move.
Motion is made by Councilman Arroyo, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Also like to acknowledge Vice Chair, Councilwoman Peterson has just joined us. Thank you, Councilor.
So noted.
Could you please bring me over the list of people that have signed up to speak on this item? Mr. Sargent, thank you. Thanks. Mr. Pavel Fernandez. Good evening.
Good.
The first one.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So
Thank
I'm the owner of Bella's Bar. It's
Could
formerly
you state your name and last name for the records?
Abel Fernandez.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I'm the owner of Bella's Bar, formerly Gemma's Bar, since 1935 at this very location. Like Bob had mentioned, we've been back and forth with the city trying to get an expansion so we can house a commercial kitchen as another service to include at the bar. It was tough to design in the R3 zone, and that's why we're here petitioning for commercial.
All right, thank
That's
you.
all I got.
Any questions from committee members? Hearing none, thank you so much. So, Councilor Vargas, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Chairman. And I'm here support for Pavel for this business. In my area, the Ward 7, we don't have hospital, we don't have so many things that we have in different work. The only that we have for more than 100 years, this building for the bar. For now, the population is grow up. The population like to, go, and it's different population. Before people, they can drink and then go. But in my population, it like it, eat, drink, and go. So that's the reason this business asked for, building for the new kitchens. And I said, well, this is a great idea because people can eat, drink, and go. So I know this is residential, but this is for residential is having 100 years in this area to serve it drinking. So it can be 100 years more to serve as food. It's better because people not can drink so much when you have some food in your stomach. That's my consideration.
Thank you.
And I think I support this 100% because that's our business. Our people can eat having a little fun for more years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, so hearing that there's no one else to speak on this matter, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Moved.
It's made by
Second.
Councilor Royer, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is now closed. And following the recommendation of the CPC and after hearing testimony, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Made by
Second.
It's made by Councilman Vargas and a second by Councilor Arroyo. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This item number 1 is approved. Madam Clerk, item number 2, please.
Item number 2 is an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 27 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Providence entitled the City of Providence Zoning Ordinance approved November 24th, 2014 as amended to change certain text in Article 19 regarding adjustments of dimensional regulations for land development projects.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 2A,
So
which
moved.
is the letter from the CPC. Motion is made by Councilman Roya, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Azar, please. Item number 2.
Thank you. This ordinance was introduced, was written by the planning department. And the reason is because we had a recent land development project that was appealed, and the judge in this case issued an interesting ruling that was a bit of a surprise to us all. He told us that he thought that a particular provision of our ordinance should be interpreted in a way that's different from the way we've been interpreting it since it was written 16 years ago. We have in the ordinance what we call incentive zoning, which is a process whereby the City Plan Commission can allow a building to be taller in exchange for something that we consider to be a public benefit, such as mixed use, structured parking, or affordable housing. The way that the ordinance is written, it says that in, for example, in a non-residential zone, a building can be taller by 24 feet or 2 stories. The judge narrowly interpreted that word "or" to mean that you can get either the numerical 24 feet or the 2 stories, but you can't get both. We tried to argue that it's practically impossible to get one without the other. And we even went so far, our law department went so far as to ask the judge to reconsider his initial ruling. But unfortunately, he did not agree with us. And so it kind of creates a big problem for us. To illustrate that, I have a list in front of me of 10 properties that were approved by the City Plan Commission with that allowance of additional height. None of them have been built yet. They've gotten their approvals, but they haven't been built yet. A total of 345 dwelling units are in jeopardy because of this ruling. Of those, there are 2 that are affordable housing projects with a total of 85 units. In one of those, the city has awarded them money from the Affordable Housing Trust. In another one, the PRA, the Providence Redevelopment Agency, is providing the land for the project. There's an 11th project that's under construction right now. There are 4 phases. One of those phases is under construction. The other 3 are not. That project has 133 units, and that's thrown into question by this. So what we are proposing is a very simple amendment where we just change the text a little bit to make it clear that through this incentive process, a development can get extra height in feet and extra stories. It would amount to exactly the same interpretation as we've had for the past 16 years. So what we're asking for you is to essentially adopt this to maintain the status quo. And so we brought this to the City Plan Commission, and they agreed with the challenge that we face here and with the urgency of amending this ordinance. And their recommendation to you is to approve this. I will say, by the way, 345 dwelling units. Providence, these days, we produce about 400 units a year. So it's like 3/4 of a year worth of housing that is in question because of this. An important feature of this ordinance is that it would be retroactive to projects that have already been approved. So going forward, we can have the security that these projects that have already made it through the pipeline can get built.
Thank you. Any question from committee members? Councilman Royas?
Thank you, Chair. This is non-controversial for me. It has my full support. But just out of curiosity, Mr. Azar, I don't know if you can answer this. You had said that it's 2 affordable housing projects in the queue, 85 units. And I think you had said that the city provide land for one of those projects. Can you just, out of curiosity, expound on that?
Yes, so the 2 projects are 321 Knight Street at the corner of Knight and Westminster. That project is proposed to be built by SWAP. That's 41 units, 100% affordable. That has money from the Housing Trust. The other one is 327 Elmwood Avenue. The developer is the Women's Development Corporation, and the land is coming from the PRA.
Councilman Royas?
Did was that, did they purchase that land from the city at market rate, or was that below market?
So they have it under contract. I honestly, that's a good question as to whether they've purchased it or not. I don't know if they've closed on it, but they've been the designated developer, and the development agreement was contingent on them getting through this approval. And they, I believe that they're paying somewhat below market rate for it.
Anybody else? Councilor Peterson?
Thank you. Just want to thank you, Bob, for the explanation of everything that's happening. I'm curious, you said there were 10 current projects that were in potential question.
Yes.
Based on this incentivized zoning.
Yes.
May I ask why we consider this incentivized zoning if we're just, there seems to be a substantial amount of projects that are requesting this, so I just want to understand the context behind it.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And this gets utilized overwhelmingly in the commercial zones where the current allowance is for 4 stories, not to exceed 50 feet. You know, the question, so in a commercial zone, we allow up to 2 extra stories and an extra 24 feet. So that would be, say, 6 stories, 74 feet. Typically, the developers are asking for 1 story, and that's typically what the City Plan Commission approves. There have been very few where there's 2 extra stories. I think they would do that more often if it's a fully affordable housing project, but for like mixed use or structured parking, usually 1 extra story is what they get. And it's a fair question, why don't we just allow 5 stories or 6 stories in the commercial zone? What I have found whenever we approach this issue with the public and sometimes with elected officials is that there's a little bit of anxiety that comes with building height, and the difference between 4 stories and 5 stories is meaningful to a lot of people. You know, it would probably make my life a lot easier if the council were willing to just allow for that. But I do understand that sometimes having a little bit more scrutiny and sort of asking for something in return, and, you know, kind of weighing things and having a little bit of discretion sort of makes sense. So that's where we are. It doesn't mean we always have to be there.
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. For the record, I am not suggesting that we should just automatically allow for these things. I consider, when you were discussing it, I was thinking about the commercial areas in my neighborhood that abut very residential zones, and I understand that philosophy behind it. I just, it seems like there are many requests coming for this particular type of zoning, and it's just something that caused me a little bit of pause and perhaps a little bit more reflection on what we should do going forward.
Yeah.
By no means saying, hey, this is something that we should go forward with, because I understand the needs of my neighborhood very, you know, so thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Councilman Vargas?
Thank you very much. The question is, this property that triggered the rest of the projects is one property, right?
I'm sorry.
When the judge found that the letter.
It's one, yes. The ruling was for one property, but it wasn't specific to the property. His ruling was about the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why if it was just the property, maybe this would be something that was sort of contained, but because his decision was about a very important provision of the ordinance and how it's written, that's why we feel like we need to act.
And that's what we're looking today to fix out
That's right.
the ordinance.
Yeah, that's right. And so the way the ordinance is written, it says, for example, it says in residential zones, plus 12 feet or 1 story. In non-residential zones, it says plus 24 feet or 2 stories. We spent an hour in a courtroom yesterday asking the judge to reconsider his discussion, and our amazing Deputy Solicitor Megan DeSanto and the judge were literally arguing for an hour about the meaning of the word "or." And you know, they were pulling out law dictionaries where there's 85 pages discussing what "or" means in various contexts. So we're trying to sidestep that by using the language we already use to talk about height, where we say plus 24 feet, not to exceed 2 extra stories. I think that makes it much clearer. And so, you know, you write these things. I wrote this 16 years ago, and you think you know what it means, and it means what it means until a judge tells you it doesn't mean that.
Well, at least we have an opportunity to correct it. Council members, so hearing none, City Sergeant, could you please give me the list of anyone that has signed up to speak on item number 2? Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
You owe me. We have none. All right, so being that no one signed up to speak on this item, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing
So
on
moved.
item number 2. It's made by Councilor Peterson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This public meeting on item number 2 is now concluded. And I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 2.
So move.
Made by Councilman Vargas.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Peterson. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 2 is approved. Thank you. Item number 3, please.
Item number 3 is a petition from Jeffrey Padua Esquire, Padua Law LLC, 1 Park Row, 5th floor, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 6, Lot 8, 16 Brahman Street, from R2 to C2.
Thank you. We have 2 exhibits. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 3A and 3B.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Bob Azar, please.
Okay, this is a petition for a map change for this one parcel from R3 to C2. 14 Brahman Street is a vacant lot that's been used for parking for many, many years. In fact, we looked back at old aerial photos, and it appears that this has been vacant for as long as we've been taking pictures of properties. It's adjacent to a commercial building at 727 Hope Street, and this has been a variety of different commercial operations over the years, and 14 Brahman has always served as accessory parking for this. There's a proposed use of a daycare center at 727 Hope, and they want to use 14 Brahman in part as outdoor space for the daycare. We do allow some small daycare centers in residential zones, but this one's going to be big. More than 12 people receiving care. Maybe Attorney Padua can tell you how many, but because they want to expand onto this other lot, a daycare center has to be allowed on that other lot. So the cleanest way to do this is with a zoning change. My understanding is they intend to use about half of it for a playground for the daycare and the rest of it for accessory parking. And because it's directly adjacent to the C2 zone, the comprehensive plan says that kind of zoning change is allowable. Our recommendation asks you to put a limitation on the zoning map that says that it would be limited to the use and dimensional regulations of the R3 zone, plus daycare center, 12 or more, inclusive of ancillary play yards and parking accessory to that use. And the reason we are suggesting this is because if we just make it C2, then that means you could have a 4-story building that covers the entire lot, sort of off of the main street. And I don't think that's the intent of this petition. But just in case, for some reason, the daycare center doesn't work out, we don't want that to be a possibility. So you could still build a house there, you could still follow the rules of the R3 zone, but you can also have the daycare. So I think with that condition, that would provide appropriate safeguards and also accommodate the needs of the daycare. And so the City Plan Commission advised that this be adopted with that condition. And if you were to agree, I would ask that you incorporate that language into the ultimate ordinance prior to closing the public hearing.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
So the petition is in reference to 16 Brahman Street.
I apologize if I well,
And then your CPC recommendations
it's for 14.
and reference says 14.
It's possible that it's the same property. We often have properties that have more than one address, but I can take a look at my computer and confirm. We list Assessor's Plat 6, Lot 8. That's the lot that was
All right.
illustrated in the map that was in the newspaper. So I'm sure you don't have any noticing problems, but if you want to bear with me for 1 second, I can just check.
Sure.
Yeah, this is Plat 6, Lot 8, and it is known both as 14 and 16 Brahman. To the west of it is 2 Brahman, to the east of it is 18 to 20 Brahman. So
Okay.
as long as you have the plat and lot correct,
Right.
that kind of covers it.
But you're also going on the petition says that you're going from R2 to C2,
Yeah, so yes.
R3 to C2?
Yes, so as you'll recall with the comprehensive plan
Right.
being approved, the R2 zones became C2. R2 became R3. This was filed when this was R2. So, and thank you for bringing that up. So the actual ordinance that goes to the city council should make that change so it says R3 to C2, and then also, if you're inclined, make sure you include that footnote language, and you could say,
I'm going to call on you to
and
dictate.
I'll read it into the record for you.
Exactly.
No problem. Okay.
Thank you. City Sergeant, Can you bring me the list of those that have signed up to speak on item 3, please?
Chair, can I ask, sorry, could I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Azar, I just had a quick question. Does this law have any environmental hazards or contamination concerns by any chance? Just because it's children playing on it?
A fair question. None that I'm aware of. I would pose that to the applicant. I know that this is a facility that has to be licensed by the state, and I'm going to guess that the process they have to go through has to confirm that.
Okay.
And when you're building outdoor facilities, you know, there are ways to do it if there are contaminants. But again, like I said, looking back at historical photography, there's no evidence that there was ever a gas station or anything like that there. So I'm going to speculate that it isn't, but also I would imagine that the state license would cover that.
Is that it, Councilman? Thank you. Okay, then we have Mr. Jeff Powder.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Good evening.
members of the Ordinance Committee. My name is Jeff Padua. My office is at 1 Park Row. I represent Bessemer Realty LLC, which is the owner of the subject properties, both on Hope Street and on Remen. And I also represent Paper Crown Preschool LLC, who will be the tenant and the preschool, and then Julia Smith, who's the majority owner of the LLC, the Paper Crown LLC, and she will be the operator of the preschool. Appreciate you clarifying the R2, R3 issue.
Yes.
Bob, thank you for that. And also the address. It was a little confusing, but we did get the plat and lot correctly. I will have Ms. Smith and our architect, David Sisson, and our zoning code consultant, Peter Casali, come up. But to add to what Bob said, the project is for Ms. Smith to open a preschool. This is Rochambeau and Hope intersection. It's in Ward 3. Councilwoman Enderbois, she's familiar with the proposal. Preschool licensing requirements do require an outdoor play area. And so, as Bob said, the idea is to convert some of the parking into a play area. You'll hear a little bit about the basic design. To answer your question directly about the environmental, I'm told that sometime this summer, the Department of, which department will be doing the testing? Department of Human Services will be testing the area for lead and asbestos. So we want to convert some of the parking lot. The use allowed in the current zone does not allow an outdoor play area, so we want to convert it to the C2 zone, which will allow the outdoor play area. Bob's condition is totally acceptable. There is no intention to do anything other than to have this as a play area. So why don't I ask Julia to come up, and I'm just going to ask her a few questions so she can explain
Absolutely.
what she's doing. Does she need to be sworn in?
No, not at all.
So, Julia, why don't you tell,
She always tells the truth.
that's true, why don't you tell the council members a little bit about yourself and your experience in operating preschools and your plans for this location?
Sure.
So, Julia, just for the record, name and address, please.
Julia Smith and 195 Governor's Drive, Warwick.
Thank you.
Sure. Like I said, my name is Julia. I opened my first location in East Greenwich about 5 years ago. My background is in early childhood and autism behavior therapy services. So I'm a licensed behavior analyst I worked as a clinician for years. Before that, I was a pre-K teacher. And then when my daughter was about 2 years old, I was looking for childcare for her, and it seemed like I could pick something that had the hours that accommodated a single working parent, or I would find something that had a great curriculum and a beautiful environment and trained teachers, but then it closed at 3 o'clock. So I decided to open Paper Crown. We filled up very quickly because there's a huge need for childcare. And I also wanted to provide a place where my teachers could grow. So I opened up a second location to be able to provide opportunities for teachers to move into administrative position. That one also filled up quickly because of the need for childcare, and we want to do that again. We really want to bring our services to Providence. We've been looking for a spot for 2 years. It's been very difficult to find something in the city, but we finally found the perfect spot, and we're very excited. I mean, we got applications from families just from the notice we sent out about the zone change. That's how much of a need there is. So the location will have 2 classrooms. This one will have an autism therapy room as well. And then the playground will take about half of the parking lot. We'll have it completely fenced in. Like Jeff said, we're required to do lead, asbestos testing. We're also required to do radon testing to get our license, so all of that will be done. We'll definitely mitigate any issues if they're found. The contract, we're completely renovating the inside, so we definitely don't expect any radon or asbestos or lead. So, but for the playground, this little children, so we're not going to have giant, play structures. We'll have a sandbox, we'll have a little garden, we'll have, a little climbing structure, but it'll be very minimal because that also aligns with our curriculum. We want the kids to play and use their imagination. And then we won't have any, our max capacity will be 32 kids a day. So, and the classes will go out one at a time, so there really won't be more than 12 students on the playground at any given time. So, if anyone has any questions.
Impressive. Sounds like you're going to have a great project ahead. Thank you for choosing Providence.
Yes,
Any
we're
questions from my
excited.
committee members? Councilor Harris.
I just have one. What is the time for the child care? Is it morning, evenings, or?
Yes, thank you. Great question. 7:30 to 5:30, and we will operate year-round.
We appreciate you. We definitely need
Thank
daycare
you.
for our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the opportunity, and I applaud you for bringing in the autism therapy component to it. I think it's a huge benefit to children all in our community, so thank you for that. I just had a very quick question myself,
Sure.
just because I don't remember what the student-teacher ratio is for daycare. Would you just be able to tell me what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So for toddlers, it's 2 teachers, 12 students.
Okay.
So for our younger toddler room, we actually max out at 10 students. So 2 toddlers, 10 students. For our older toddler room, which we say is about 2.5 to 3.5, we'll go up to 12. And then for pre-K, it's 2 to 25, which is, we don't do that. We do 2 to 18 max. Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Julia.
Let me just ask you one more question. Have you discussed the zone change with the neighbors, and what feedback did you get?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I sent around a letter to all the neighbors, the only feedback I got were families wanting to register. I also spoke with the other businesses on Hope Street, and they've been very welcoming. They're excited for us to open. So we can't wait to join the community.
Yes, sounds like your neighbors are in agreement with you. I did not get any letters of opposition.
No.
So,
Chairman, can I make a comment?
absolutely, Councilor Peters.
you. It's less a question.
Councilwoman Enderwater, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much for being here, Julia. And
Thank you.
Attorney Padua. I just want to say I'm really excited about this as the council person for the ward that this is in. Julia and her team have been great about reaching out, connecting with the businesses in the neighborhood already about the zone change and about the playground. And I'm totally unsurprised that you're already almost full, because we really, really, really need daycare in Ward 3. We definitely do not have enough. So really just wanted to say I was grateful for all the outreach she's done, and that this is going to be a really great facility, and I hope that you guys pass it with the amendments that Bob or Mr. Azar mentioned earlier.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For your support.
Councilman Reyes?
Thank you, Chair. Julia, are you saying you proactively reached out to neighbors nearby?
Yes.
I just want to let whoever's watching and tuning in, this is how you do it. It makes our lives easier. Thank you for being a model, seriously.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck on everything.
I appreciate
That's wonderful.
that.
All right, well, thank you so much. Anything else from you, Jeff?
Yeah, I'd like to call our architect, David Sisson. He can just walk you through some of the changes.
Sure.
Hello, good evening. My name's David Sisson, S-I-S-S-O-N. Business address is 345 Taunton Avenue in East Providence.
Good evening, David.
And I'm going to put up a couple boards for you guys if you give me a moment.
So David, let me
Thank you.
let me ask you what your assignment is, what you did, and what the proposal is for the design.
Absolutely. So, just FYI, I've been sworn in front of other boards before as an expert in architecture. I've only been doing this about 30 years. I'm an architect, and we did the design for the daycare on the inside, which is mostly the classrooms that Ms. Smith mentioned, the autism clinic, bathrooms associated with this, and a bit of facade improvement along Hope Street to modify that front facade just a little bit. When it comes to the playground, in a lot of ways we did a rectangle and we said this is the playground. Ms. Smith testified already that the playground is got some pretty basic play things for the children. This isn't a full-on commercial playground. We're doing some now at some elementary schools that are, have the full commercial equipment and all that. Much bigger deal. This is a fairly minor playground as these things go. Right now, the subject property is a parking lot. It's got some dumpsters on it. You guys can see the photo. It's a Google screenshot, and it's got a parking lot. It's not really striped out, so I can't really tell you how many spots are on there now. And some dumpsters. Not particularly attractive, but it does provide parking for the commercial buildings. I think it's important to know, because I know you're going to ask me this question, is this required parking for the commercial? It's not, these spots, and I think Mr. Azar would tell you that. The commercial properties are too small to have any required parking. So this is a nice to have, but not a must have in terms of parking for the commercial properties. We're talking about taking the back of the property furthest from the street, and we're not taking half. It's probably about 40% of that, maybe a little bit more, and making it into a little playground for the kids. It's fenced. There's some gate access, so other tenants can get through it if necessary. But the desire is to separate the children from the cars. We're still going to have, I believe, 12 parking spots and a little spot for some smaller dumpsters than what's there today, because they're a little bit oversized for what's there today. Beyond that, there's not much to say. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from committee members? Councilor Harris?
Please excuse my confusion. I'm looking at the chart, and I'm trying to figure out, with the chart of the building, display that you gave us.
I can show you more carefully if I can.
Please, will you
step up.
please? Yeah. Yeah. So where's the dumpsters? Okay. 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 Very close to the building. The door. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Thank you, David. All right, Jeff.
If there's no other questions for Mr. Sisson, I'll ask Peter Casali, who is our zoning code consultant, to come up.
Peter?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Peter Casali with offices at 250 Gano Street, Suite 1, Providence, Rhode Island.
I remember Mr. Peter from, was it over 30 years ago, right? Thank you for
About
your
19
service.
years ago, when I retired from the city.
Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Nice to see you.
So
Hi,
Peter,
Jeff.
tell the committee a little bit about your background as a zoning code consultant, and then what your assignment was, and what you did, and what your findings and opinions are.
As the chairman alluded to, I have a building code, zoning, and planning background. I was employed by the city of Providence for just under 13 years. When I retired, I was the chief of structures and zoning, and since 2006, I've been out in private sector, providing zoning, building, fire, planning code consultations, and permit expediting, project management. In this particular case, I was hired to get the permit for the general contractor, who I do a boatload of work with each year. And in the plan review process, the zoning officer flagged the fact that the playground extended into the R zone. None of us had expected or anticipated that because it presented as a commercial parking lot behind a commercial building. They then asked me to get the petition together, prepare the radius map, and come and testify before the board for the petition for the zone
Right.
change to C2.
Were you asked to determine whether or not the proposed zone change is consistent with the comprehensive plan and also the goals and objectives of the zoning ordinance, and if so, what did you find?
I was asked, in my opinion, this is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I also believe that the petition would not cause injure or harm to the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance or create any public safety threat to welfare.
Thank you. Any questions for our zoning expert? Hearing none, thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I had provided a basic one-page summary of our presentation with some exhibits, and I'd asked those exhibits to be entered into the record. And with that, I'll entertain any questions, and our presentation is concluded.
They have already been entered into the records.
Great.
Being that there's no further questions, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll. Mr. Azer, so would you state the amendment then?
Yes. Okay, so this, as you know, was filed as a petition. What typically happens once you have approved the petition, I work with the clerk, we turn this into an ordinance that gets forwarded to the full council. So when this becomes an ordinance, the language should reference the property as the ordinance should reference the property as Plat 6, Lot 8, also known as 14 to 16 Brahman Street. And the change is from R3 to C2. And with a footnote that shall be added to the map to limit the lot to the use and dimensional regulations of the R3 zone plus daycare center, parentheses 12 or more, inclusive of ancillary play yards and parking accessory to that use. And I'll be happy to provide that language to the clerk tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to amend as stated by Mr. Bob Azer, representing the Department of Planning and Development.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. And with that said, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing at item number 3.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Royas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now officially closed for item number 3. And I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilwoman Peterson and second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Item number 3 is approved. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. And again, thank you for choosing Providence. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 4.
Item number 4 is a petition from John O. Mancini, Esquire, Mancini Carter, 56 Pine Street, 3rd floor, the Hanley Building, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, dated February 3rd, 2025, on behalf of PRI 14 LP, the applicant, LLC, requesting to change the official zoning ordinance of the City of Providence by requesting a text change to amend Section 604G4H.
Okay, so we have a couple of exhibits. So I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record exhibit 4A and 4B. Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Azer, please.
Okay, last one.
Yes.
So this one is kind of interesting. This relates to, as far as I can tell, 2 properties in downtown, but there may be more. There was a period of time when the zoning, actually, let me back up a little bit and preface this by saying that in downtown, as I think you probably know, we are very strict about regulating demolition and the creation of surface parking lots. Demolition has to follow a process where a developer appears in front of the design review body and demonstrates that there's going to be something that replaces a building. And we don't allow principal use surface parking lots in downtown. We want to see buildings, not parking in downtown. But there have been a couple of occasions when buildings have come down and the zoning board has allowed for principal use parking lots to replace the buildings. But they were concerned about these lasting for an indefinite period of time. So they put a time period, an expiration period on these parking lots. Over the years, the city has sort of changed its posture towards granting variances for this sort of thing. The law department has advised the zoning board that it's not the right practice to grant these types of variances, both for this kind of use and also with time frames attached to them. So as a consequence, when those variances expired or were expiring the first time, this petitioner, PRI, came to the council and instead of asking for a variance, asked you to insert language into the zoning ordinance that would give them some extra time to have these parking lots in downtown. That time has come and gone, and it has expired. And so they're back again asking for this provision to be extended until December 31st of 2029. There was a bit of a debate at the City Plan Commission about this. I think the preference of all the commission members was that we should, very strongly encourage property owners to do something other than surface parking. But I think the petitioners did a good job of kind of explaining the development environment and how challenging today with inflation and interest rates and other factors that developing at the moment is challenging. So in the meantime, the petitioners operate a parking lot in LaSalle Square, and there is one other that I know to be affected by this ordinance behind Johnson and Wales on Pine Street. So what this would essentially do is preserve the status quo of legal parking lots that had been previously granted by variance, and it would expire on December 31st, 2029. The commission included language that says that the owners are strongly encouraged to submit a pre-application request for development to the Downtown Design Review Committee within 3 years of the beginning of the tolling period. As I see it, that language doesn't necessarily need to be part of the zoning ordinance, but it was more of a strong recommendation. I don't have the petition in front of me, but I just wanted to clarify. I think there was maybe a little bit of a typo with the dates. It should say that the original ordinance was expired on December 31st, 2024, and that the amendment would say that it would be good until December 31st, 2029. So if that's not the case with the petition, then it should be amended. Do you mind if I approach and take a quick look at it?
Yes, please, come on over.
Yeah, the second paragraph there, which is the language that they want to be inserted into the ordinance, It says in the third line, and in effect as of March 1st, 2025. That should say, in effect as of December 31st, 2024. In other words, that's when the permission expired. So
So amended to
yeah, so
reflect
it should be amended
2024?
to say December 31st, 2024. And I would ask if the petitioner's attorney concurs on that when it's time for him to testify.
So I could just make the amendment right now? Or would you like the
Yes,
petitioner to
I'm getting the thumbs up. So
Okay.
yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I think that would be appropriate. So it would be to strike March 1st, 2025, and replace it with December 31st, 2024.
So I'll entertain a motion to strike March 1st of 2025 and substitute with December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Motion is made by Council 2024.
Was it 2024 or 2029? Oh,
It's the date that it expired. So motion is made by Councilor Peterson
Second.
and second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. City Sergeant, can you please, if anyone has signed up? The town meeting- John Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening.
Good evening, John.
John Mancini, attorney with offices at 56 Pine Street in Providence, Rhode Island. And I'm here representing the petitioner, which is RPI 14LP, along with the Prakashanti Group that is the developer for this parcel. And as Mr. Azar indicated, the reason for the request to amend the existing ordinance is simply to extend out a deadline or an expiration that took place in December of 2024. The ordinance, as originally enacted in 2020, provided for a 5-year period to allow the developer to seek proposals and an ability to redevelop and reuse the existing property. During that time period, the property has remained as a surface parking lot, and unfortunately, during that time period, the developer has not been able to get a viable proposal for an office building. This property is cited to be developed specifically for office, and we feel that this is really a grade A site, for lack of a better word, because it's situated in such an important and prominent section of the city of Providence. And our goal is to hopefully obtain a user that will be a type of user that will signify Providence and really be something, everything is spectacular, but something
Right.
that is beyond your normal user. And also, it's important to note for the board that we have made efforts to try to bring that type of user to Providence. Most recently, we've been in negotiations or discussions, I should say, with Hasbro to build them a building for that site. And that's essentially the type of user that we want to generate there, someone that will create high-level jobs and really kind of give a thrust to the city as far as office use and office occupancy. But as the council is aware, it's been a difficult environment to try to rehabilitate office and try to create new office space in Providence. And so with that, the applicant has sought to request an extension, an additional time period out to December 31st, 2029, in hopes that we can continue to thrive to find an applicant that would be applicable to that site and worthy of that site. I have with me Mike Vacola. He's the corporate counsel and vice president of Prakashanti Group. They're the primary entity which is charged and tasked for developing this site, is available to answer some questions. We've also have reached out to the local community, to the surrounding property owners and businesses, to make them aware of this ordinance, to make them aware of our purpose for extending the ordinance. And we also want to make very clear, as we did at the Planning Commission, that the goal of the applicant and the property owner is not to do parking in perpetuity. It's not what the business model is for this owner, but unfortunately it is a gap measure, if you will, to allow us to keep this property in a position that would be prepared and viable at some point when we get that type of tenant that we need. For housekeeping purposes, I agree with Mr. Azar. The ordinance dates should be that the ordinance was in effect as of December 31st, 2024, and we're asking for it to be extended to December 31st, 2029. I have submitted the correspondences that we've received, specifically from the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau, which was supportive of our ordinance, the Providence Public Library, the Providence Foundation, as well as the Trinity Brew House has also been supportive, and Rhode Island Commerce has also provided a correspondence of support. So with that, I'd like to present Mr. Vacola to further elaborate as to the efforts that have been taken by the developer to try to redevelop this, and what efforts the developer seeks to do in the future to try to hopefully get something in there within the time period allowed it. So with that, unless there's any questions of me, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Vacola.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Vacola.
Good evening. My name is Michael Vacola. I'm Corporate Vice President and Corporate Counsel for the Prakashanti Companies in Cranston. We acquired this site through the PRA. This site and the former Fogarty building, which has since been redeveloped into a Residence Inn hotel. This site was eyeballed for a signature tenant. By signature tenant, I mean a tenant that occupies primarily the whole building and whose name is on the outside. Reason for that is several. It has a high elevation, it has a flat grade, it's surrounded by public streets, it's right off the highway, it's got sewer, water, gas, fiber optics, it's got every box checked off for what a major tenant would require. When we acquired this property from the PRA, it came with a stipulation that it needed to be developed with at least 300,000 square feet of office space. Well, at that time, Hasbro One, we'll call it, was looking to consolidate their offices in Providence. And we made a very extensive, very comprehensive presentation to Hasbro. Back then, as they considered it, their business plan changed, the economy changed. They decided not to move forward immediately. And then, of course, there was a change of command, and Hasbro went out again somewhat recently in the past 12 months. We call that Hasbro 2. We made a similar presentation to them to consolidate their offices in Providence. We haven't received a favorable recommendation as of yet. I don't think anybody knows what they're doing. But in the interim, we also made a presentation to Roger Williams University for their new law school. We also made a presentation to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And in today's environment, right now, we're competing with very high construction interest rates, potential tariffs, increasing construction costs. The Superman building, which is several blocks away, is getting inundated with public subsidies. The 195 land is being sold at a significant discount to value to people who need to build buildings. We're not in that position. And as a result, our fight is a little tougher. But we're going to stick it out because that's what my company does. It sticks it out. We built the last tall building in Providence in 2007 attached to the Omni, what is now the Omni Hotel. It's called the Residences Providence. I was the single developer on that. I was the last tall building built in Providence. I don't want to stop there. I got 3 years left before I retire. I want to build another tall building in Providence, and I want it to be on this site. So we're going to continue to persevere as we need to make sure that this site gets the type of construction and the type of building that it needs and that we deserve.
Thank
So
you, Mike.
unfortunately, in the meantime, it's a parking lot, which does contribute to the community. We've given free use of it to the Special Olympics of RI, which is a charity of which I am particularly close, when they have their road races. All of the events that went on in Providence last summer, over this winter, and this coming summer, all of those folks who don't live downtown have to come and park somewhere. This offers them a chance to park proximate to the adventures that are going on. So while it's not as desirable, and while we're not proud to own the most expensive parking lot in the city, we do want to develop it. We do need to mitigate our holding costs. We are good stewards of that property, and we look forward to your favorable interpretation of that. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're basically just looking for a 5-year extension so that you can have some type of use until you find your tenant.
Correct. Our conversations with Rhode Island Commerce is that this is one of their tools to attract companies from outside to come to Providence, that we have a genuinely shovel-ready site.
Councilor Peterson?
Thank you. I appreciate you being here and giving us a little bit of that context. My question is how long it has been utilized as parking since you've owned it, or even how long it's been parking for the city?
Well, we got permission to demolish the old police and fire station on an emergency permit basis. I want to say 2007.
Okay.
Not absolutely positive, but I believe it's around 2007.
And so since then, it's been utilized as parking space, or
Correct.
parking availability for the city? Okay.
Yes.
May I ask
Yeah,
one more question?
absolutely. Go ahead.
I can certainly understand the situation and the conundrum that you're in. It's clearly very expensive to build right now, and I can appreciate the opportunities that you're seeking out to be able to find a good steward of that particular property. But the question that I actually have is more towards future planning. In 2029, let's just say it seems as though times are going to continue remaining a little bit tough for everything. And I would like to be an optimist and say that things are actually going to get better. But sometimes we have to face some harsh realities. What happens in 2029 when this has expired and potentially you're not in a position to have offered that new opportunity for a building there, which I'm hoping that you get done within your 3 years before you retire?
Well, let me say that we have no problem with the recommendation from the City Plan Commission for the 5-year, 3-year exercise. I don't know what would happen in 2029 if nobody came to the plate. There's a variety of avenues that we could take, but I can't tell you exactly what might happen, but I know that we make almost no money on that parking lot. Although we do contribute taxes, we do contribute to the DID, the Downtown Improvement District. We spend an inordinate amount of money on landscaping and lighting and security. So I don't know what's going to happen in 2029. I'm hoping to be here with a different type of a presentation, but I can assure you that if there's any stone to look under, we will look under it. We keep the planning department updated every 30 days since the day that building came down. Every 30 days, the director of the PRA gets a letter from me stating what we've tried to accomplish in the prior 30 days. And that's been going on since that day. So we are also fully engaged with CBRE, the local major real estate company, as well as MG Commercial and Hayes and Cherry. So they are all aware of what we have, what the property specifics are, what we can bring to the table. My company is, as you may be familiar, is very capable of building a 30-story tower if we had a 30-story tower worth of tenant to fill it with. We're hoping that the office market will return to Providence. I'm cautiously optimistic that it will, and with that will a waterfall of other development opportunities come, and eventually it will attract another major tenant that would be perfectly suitable for this signature tower space.
If I could just ask one more question.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Chair. This question is actually directed towards Mr. Azar. In your experience, in your history with the city, how, in a situation similar to this, how often has a company come back to say, hey, I need to get another extension?
Well, this most often happens with development projects. When the City Plan Commission or another board approves something, there's typically a period of time within which the project has to get started. And if they don't, the approval can expire. But all of the rules that we have in place have provisions where they can come back and ask for extensions. Usually the first two, say, are administrative. The staff can just sign off on them. After that, it has to go in front of the board. I would say it is cyclical, and it has to do with economic conditions. In fact, after the financial crisis of after 2008, the state actually put a law into place saying that projects were automatically extended without even needing to ask. And they kept that in place for the better part of a decade. I don't know, it could have been a decade. They kept re-upping it. So the answer is, it's actually pretty common.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azar.
I appreciate that feedback. I think for me, completely understand the need and certainly can support that. My concern is beyond this 5-year period, if there's any sort of additional provision that we could do. And I think you're being extremely proactive, which I appreciate. We don't often see people being this proactive, so thank you for all of that. I want to be diligent about how we plan for the future for the city, and that's that point of what happens if we don't realize what you're looking to achieve by 2029 is something that just continues to stay here. So I'm just going back and forth and thinking about it. But I appreciate everything and the feedback and the information, and thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Peterson. Councilman Vargas?
Thank you very much. Mr. Bukola, do you have any buildings in these parking lots?
I'm sorry?
Any buildings on the
No.
park? No buildings.
No building, just surface bituminous concrete lighting and landscaping.
So the one on Bassett Street, how many parking lots do you have?
That's the only parking lot we have that we own. We are also part owners of the lot across from the Hilton, the triangular lot, the so-called City Golf lot. But that's outside of this area and not subject to this legislation.
How many parking lots do you have?
How many parking lots?
Yeah, how many cars can you fit in that parking lot?
How many cars can we fit in that lot?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, about 180.
180?
Yeah, 180. But I'm not positive, to be honest with you.
175, let's call it down.
Yeah.
What about 209 Fountain Street? How many parking lots do you have in that one?
That's the parking lot in question.
Okay, that's...
Yeah, 209 Fountain is the parking lot in question tonight.
What about 108 Pine Street?
We don't have anything on Pine Street.
So there's no parking lot on Pine Street?
We don't own anything on Pine Street.
But according to the ordinance, I got 3 addresses here. I have 179, 197 Bassett Street, 209 Fountain Street, that's that you're saying that we have 180 parking spots,
Approximately.
and 96 and 108 Pine Street. Mr. Azar, you want to say something?
Yeah, those lots, I had mentioned earlier that that there was at least one other lot on Pine Street that had a parking garage that was demolished. That's not owned by the petitioner, nor is the one on Way Bassett Street. These are just other lots where the zoning board had granted the variance and that are subject to this particular rule. PRI is the petitioner here, but they're actually doing sort of a favor, whether these other property owners know it or not, to these other property owners. These are properties owned by other people.
Oh, so these are just on here because the reference, it's
Yeah.
just reference
Yes,
property.
that's
So
right.
the only one that Mr. Vacaller is referring to is actually 209 Fountain Street. All right. The old police station, right?
Yes, the old police and fire station.
The
And
old
it'll
poli-
always be called that.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much for the explanation, because I thought that you were representing the three
Okay.
addresses. Go on back, can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank-
Go ahead.
Mr. Bocolo, you never thought about creating a building for housing?
We looked at housing. The PRA agreement to which we are subject requires 300,000 feet of office space on that site. But putting that aside, to build housing on that site, to take full advantage of the type of property that is, it would obviously have to be a vertical building. To build a vertical building with parking means you have to build a parking garage and a building above it. This is where it gets complicated. A regular parking garage with no building above it, just a regular freestanding parking garage, has an efficiency factor of about 70 to 75%, meaning 70, 75% of each footprint is a parking space. As soon as you design a parking garage that's going to hold up a multi-story building, now you've got to have much more substantial columns. You've got to have fire escapes. You've got to have elevator shafts. And now the efficiency comes down to close to 55 to 60%, which means that you have to have additional floors in order to have the same number of cars. And at that point, it becomes exceptionally uneconomic. And we know from owning the tower downtown that rents can only go so high. So it would be uneconomic to do that at this moment in time.
Okay.
All set?
Can I have another
Oh,
question?
absolutely,
Sorry.
yes. Go ahead, Councilman.
Which is your future? You just say that you're going to retire in 3 years. God bless you. and-
I am hoping, let me tell you, I'm counting the minutes. I've been at the company for 24 years. When we started off, we had 13 hotels. We now have 140 hotels around the country. And it's been, let's just say it's been a stressful 24 years.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I
But
appreciate that.
But the question is like, we asking for 5 years in this case. Hopefully in the next 3 years that you have planning to retire, you might find something to put in this.
If I have to make a guest appearance, I'll do that. But I'm really hoping that we can put something together, identify a tenant, confirm their financial viability, design a building, run it through the city system to make sure it meets all the criteria, and actually get a shovel in the ground. I'm a developer. That's what I do. I develop things. Owning a parking lot doesn't turn me on, doesn't do it for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully you'll come back in a couple of years and say, I got this great tenant, we're breaking ground. Yeah.
I hope so too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any further questions? All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your presentation. Great, so with that said, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion is made by
Second.
Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is closed on item number 4. And following the recommendation from the CPC, I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended. I'll entertain a motion to approve
So
as
moved.
amended, made by Councilman Vargas,
I'll second.
second by Councilor Peterson. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 4 is approved. Thank you so much for investing in Providence. Thank you. With that said, being that there's no further business on the calendar, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.